Imagine yourself plunged into the oppressive darkness of night, alone in a silent, dark room. You stand before a mirror, your heartbeat echoing in your ears as you prepare to utter the forbidden name. CANDYMAN. The mere whisper of this name sends icy shivers throughout your body, an evil presence seemingly materializing in the darkness around you. You feel an aura of terror settle over you, a growing sense of unease as you realize you've just invoked the merciless spirit of vengeance. You begin to wonder, what if this legend is true? Suddenly, as you utter his name a second and then a third time, you feel a cold breeze sweep through the room, accompanied by the ominous buzzing of bees emerging from the dark corners of the room. Then you say his name for the fifth time, CANDYMAN. Your breath freezes instantly in your throat as you see a dark figure materialize behind you in the mirror. His face battered and half covered with bees. An angry figure, his bloody hook glinting in the dim light of the room. His name echoes in the air, laden with menace and promises of imminent death. His icy presence envelops you, a sensation of sheer terror paralyzing you on the spot, depriving you of any hope of escape. Then you realize you've made a fatal mistake in defying CANDYMAN's curse, invoking his vengeful spirit into your world. The bees buzz around you, their wings quivering like an army ready to do their master's bidding. You close your eyes in a last desperate attempt to protect yourself, but it's already too late. You feel the sharp fang come down on you in a flash of pain, your scream of agony mingling with CANDYMAN's sinister laughter as he claims your soul for eternity. In the darkness you've just joined, the legend of CANDYMAN continues to haunt the minds of the bold who dare speak his name in the darkness, reminding them of the ruthless cruelty of his vengeance and the murderous madness that awaits those who defy his curse. In the heart of Chicago's dark streets, between the gleams of street lamps reflected on the damp concrete, there exists a terrifying legend that has haunted the minds of locals for generations. This legend comes to life in the eerie whispers of those who dare evoke the dreaded name, CANDYMAN. In the tumult of the 1900s, as the icy winter wind blew through the town's narrow streets, a forbidden love story was born that would change the destiny of those who told it. In a society divided by racial and social lines, the affair between a talented African-American artist and a young woman from white high society was seen as an affront to the rigid norms of the time. The artist, whose name was Daniel Robitaille, was a charismatic and talented man. His paintings captured the very essence of the human soul, but to members of privileged white society, he remained an outsider, an outcast in their carefully crafted world. Yet, despite the barriers set up by society, Daniel and the young woman fell in love. Moonless nights were their sanctuary, a refuge from the judgmental gaze of society, where Daniel and the young woman could meet in secret, exchanging promises of eternal love under the protective veil of darkness. Their rendezvous were precious moments. In the narrow streets of Chicago, they would meet up, losing themselves in the twists and turns of dark alleys where the shadows of night concealed their clandestine encounters. Yet despite their apparent happiness, a heavy atmosphere of danger always hung over their heads. Treacherous whispers and scornful glances chased them like shadows, threatening to separate them at any moment. But Daniel and the young woman refused to submit to the oppressive will of society, determined to fight for their love despite insurmountable obstacles. Their happiness seemed fleeting, but in each other's arms, they found the strength to keep fighting, to dream of a future where their love would finally be free to blossom unhindered. When news of their affair spread, anger roared through the streets of Chicago. Hateful whispers and accusatory glances followed Daniel at every step, calling him a monster and a witch for daring to break the unspoken rules of social segregation. But Daniel couldn't be broken by words or scornful glances. His love for the young woman was unshakable, and he was willing to face any challenge to stay with her. However, society was not ready to accept their forbidden love. In an unprecedented act of brutal violence and cruelty, a group of masked men kidnapped Daniel, accusing him of seducing and corrupting an innocent white woman. They dragged him from his home, beat him, and covered him in honey, attracting a swarm of angry bees. The furious insects stung and tore at Daniel's flesh, but even in his unbearable pain, he didn't utter a word of hatred or vengeance. He only whispered the name of his love before succumbing to his wounds. Daniel Robitaille's brutal murder should have been the end of the story, but instead, it marked the beginning of the Candyman legend. Chicagoans, horrified by the atrocity of his fate, began whispering his name in the dark corners of the city, invoking his vengeful spirit to wreak vengeance on those who had committed this unforgivable act. In the dark recesses of dusty apartments and abandoned houses, the whispers of the Candyman legend echoed like a mournful warning. Chicagoans trembled at the thought of uttering his name, aware of the terrifying consequences that might follow. The few foolhardy souls who dared to defy the curse often found themselves standing in front of a mirror, in the oppressive darkness of night. Their hands would tremble as they muttered the cursed name 5 times. It was then, with a chilling shudder, that Candyman's sinister reflection materialized behind them, his face distorted by pain and half covered with bees. An angry shadow, its bloody fang ready to claim a new victim. Some even claimed to have felt the menacing buzz of bees as they emerged from the darkness to serve their vengeful master. Their quivering wings and venomous stings seemed to be an extension of Candyman's will, ready to punish those who dared defy him. Thus was born the urban legend of Candyman, a tale of betrayal, forbidden love, and supernatural vengeance that continues to haunt the dark streets of Chicago and beyond. Rumors and whispers persist to this day, warning the curious never to mention Candyman's name in the dark, lest his vengeful spirit awaken once more to demand justice.